We're live on, we're still live on Facebook. I'm going to turn that down a little bit and just try to focus here for a second. I think we got it. Come on. There we go. We're back up. We're up. Right, we're up, guys. Okay. Thanks very much for your patience, guys. Okay, so let me just do this. I'll turn that down a little bit and just try to focus here for a second. I think we got it. Come on. There we go. We're back up. We're up. Right, we're up, guys. Alright guys, how's it going? And welcome to deMars Magazine's 100 articles Q A live stream. My goodness, that was absolutely a wreck. 15 minutes of trying to figure out how to simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. So thanks to everybody for their bleeding patience there. You'd think I only started doing this last week, but clearly, I have a lot still to bleed and learn. But absolutely delighted to be here today, guys, and it's so nice to be with all these wonderful writers around me. I don't think we have not done anything like this before. I haven't done a live Zoom call like this projected live onto Facebook and YouTube. It's a bit scary because there's so many people. Usually it's one versus one, but now it's one versus I like the way I'm thinking we're all against each other, but we're all together in this. But yeah, just want to say I think we're good. Darius says we're okay. Yeah, just checking the chat. Okay, we're okay on YouTube and we're okay on thing. Finally, great stuff. So I just want to welcome you all to the stream. I'm Kozak, of course, and I'm the creator and editor of deMars Magazine. And it's an absolute delight to be sitting here with these wonderful, beautiful and dedicated writers after reaching 100 articles. I can't believe it. Anna Duran, thank you so much for reminding me that we've hit 100 articles. It would have totally missed. It's been a fantastic journey, I have to say, with these exceptional people who are truly dedicated to deMars Magazine and who are artists in themselves, and they've dedicated themselves to the local community and to the many musicians that dwell in it. So here's a quick backstory to deMars Magazine, and I did promise, I showed the guys how long this intro was, and I was going to try to skip a few parts, and especially because we're a little bit delayed, so please do bear with me. So it's interesting because me looking back on this as well, I forgot exactly when we started. I was like, did we start in October? Did we start in September? But we actually started 24th of September, which was a month after the Transmission Festival. And Rebecca and Colin will remember that festival very well as being the two presenters, two fabulous presenters there. And Colin actually began writing before deMars Magazine for deMars Entertainment, which was he wrote the newsletters and he wrote the descriptors for all the bands, which was amazing. So from there, sort of, we were already setting ourselves up for deMars Magazine. It's actually crazy. We didn't even think about this to be a thing until the dust settled after Transmission Festival, and we're like, okay, what do we do next? What's going on? We're still in lockdown. Musicians still need exposure. There is a shortage of publicists. There's a shortage of journalists. There's a shortage of infrastructure for musicians. There's no gigs. What do we do? So I don't know what moment that was that deMars Magazine came into my head. Maybe somebody can clarify here. But I do not remember, which is absolutely mental. But I do remember contacting Dave Duggan and asking him about it. And Dave, there you are in the chat. So welcome, Dave. And I did ask him for a lot of advice, and he had a lot of experience in journalism. And I heard those words out of his mouth saying, and they weren't troll words, what I'd normally experience in the comment section. No, it was an amazing offer that he would build the website for deMars Magazine. So some of you guys might know that. I have mentioned it in posts before, but I just wanted to say that officially, that Dave Duggan built the site and did help start this journey, even though he's a feckin' troll. I love you, brother. And thanks so much for all that and for helping me start that off, because without that, the website wouldn't be the way it is. He did put a lot of work into it, and he's actually a great advisor and a very good friend as well. So I just need to give you a big shout out there, brother, and thank you so much for doing all that, and keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, just don't do it in my chat, right? But yeah, and just a backstory on our first writer. So Maximilian Foy came in first. We had Claire and Rebecca. Three really amazing people, first and foremost. And we had Paul Archibald as well, actually. Sorry. So we had 4 amazing people. Sorry, Paul. Shit, you're not here, man. Damn it. Come here, Paul, because I keep forgetting about you. And Claire Nolan wrote our very first article, and she began in the opinion section. Really thought-provoking articles, and really made you ponder on our society, our economy, and the pressures we face as artists. So stuff like Am I Sexy Now? Person or Product, and the paradox of choice meets overpopulation. Some really fantastic, strong articles to get deMars magazine up and started. So really have to give a big shout out to Claire for contributing so strongly so early on. Maximilian Foy as well, with some extremely strong reviews, really detailed, and his voice just developed so quickly, his written voice, and he just it was like a fish to water. Like he just felt so in his zone, and it was amazing. And he inspired a lot of writers that came in later on to write reviews. So fair play to Maximilian Foy. First article was Lipton Village Makings, Friends of Dorothy and Alexi were some of his first. Rebecca Cappuccini, someone that told me, oh, I can't write, I have this, I have that, I have this, that, and I was like, I don't believe you, which is a horrible thing to say to somebody now that I realise. But we went through an amazing journey, and she wrote some absolutely beautiful articles. Nymph Bonba, who she gained so much inspiration from, Joshua Burnside, and she's now taken a little bit of a break from the magazine, but it's so happy to see her here with us today. And she talked, I think you mentioned a couple of days ago, Rebecca, you want to write another review for us, so that's really always great to hear. And she's also doing Your Local 32, guys, if you don't know. This is taking me ages, I'm so sorry, guys. Paul Archibald, Pop Culture, Tarantino versus Scorsese, Gaming Soundtracks and Opinion Pieces. And he's actually doing, he's taking a little break back, pulled back from deMars magazine, and is doing comedy skits for us now for deMars Live. So it's funny how people pull away from the magazine but end up doing something else for deMars, which is just absolutely amazing. So we had some great contributions. Rob Cunningham, he did some great articles as well, and in mid-November then we progressed into a new section. We started Level Up, and which aimed at serving our community as a whole, and not just musicians, in bettering themselves. And Anna Duran, Lindsay and Stephen Brennan joined our team at that time and focused specifically on those Level Up sections, and really gave us an amazing insight into how to better ourselves on a technological level with regard to Stephen's writings, and an academic level, which would be more so Lindsay, and then Anna with aspiration, motivation, and how to get organized. And it was just such a great combination, and it is still a fantastic combination to have in this Level Up. So it's a highly valued section, along with our reviews. Really happy how those two pillars really hold up deMars, from my perspective anyway. And I think it's really good to be serving the community in that respect. So it's just really nice to have that among all of the other interesting things that are within the magazine as well. So Paul Downey, you joined us, I think it was in November as well. I think it was just after Anna, if I'm not mistaken, and such a delight to have you as well join the team, and allow us to produce so many more reviews per week. I mean, you're really working hard. I mean, the review section is insane. We have 80 reviews on the site right now, which is absolutely crazy, guys, like how we managed to get to that in only a couple of months. So fair play to you. And I think, Paul, you must have reviewed, I think you're doing 3 reviews next week, and I think Maximilian Foy wanted a week off and was like, but I'll do 3 reviews for you instead. And I'm like, stop it. No, just do normal. I was like, don't do any more. Just do what. That's plenty. So I'm just amazed. Like I'm just so humbled that all of you are committing so much to it. It's just so nice. 80 reviews written on artists. 11 are Level Up, which is amazing because Level Up is very recent. And then we have a mix with the rest of Pop Culture and Opinion. And then we have 2 new sections as well, which I'm delighted to announce as well officially. So Claire is moving into movies and TV, which is awesome, and really happy to be delving into another sector of media within the magazine. So I'm really excited to see what Claire delves into in that part, and Paul's delving into gaming. So really cool to be delving into all these other entertainment, because deMars is kind of, the foundation is the entertainment factor. So with that support of the community, so we're really branching into bigger and better places. Well, not better, but we're delving in, we're making it bigger. Is that right? Fair to say? Yeah.
We're expanding what's already great.
Thank you. You guys could chime in, by the way, and help me out like that. That's thank you.
You're doing good. Keep going.
Okay. So it's astounding. So we have also had 5.5 thousand users visit the website since September.
Massive.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's unique visits. I think unique visits is actually just a little bit below that. I think it's like 5K is unique visits or something like that. So it's absolutely mental. And it's absolutely amazing how much we've achieved with no budget and with like sheer reliance on our own motivation, sheer reliance on well, not necessarily reliance, but feedback from our readers, is always an amazing motivator. And like
faith, trust, and pixie dust.
Is that what they say? Is it? Yeah. So there you go. Like it's a lot self-motivated. Do you know what I mean? So it's always nice when we get feedback from people. I'll always share it to you if you do get a nice comment. I know Paul's not on Facebook, so I'd always screenshot the comments for Paul and just go, "There you go, Paul. Look how much they love your stuff." So it's always nice, and I'm sure you guys can relate that is really motivational to kind of get you. To keep you going, but obviously the financial aspect for me, and I know you guys are just probably so nonchalant about it, but for me it is trying to somehow inject a financial because it adds weight to it as well. So by the way, on that note, we are we do have a donation link in there if anybody wants to donate, and all that goes to all of these writers, not myself. It goes straight to the writers directly, so definitely consider doing that as well, just on that note. So look, I'm done. How long did that take? 11 minutes, not too bad, but it also took 15 minutes to start the feckin' stream. So we'll hang around a little bit longer. Yeah, I hope that's all right that we hang around a little bit longer. So listen, it's with great pleasure I introduce my wonderful and dedicated team of writers. For without them, this magazine would not exist. It might exist, but it wouldn't exist in such a caliber and in such a just in such a sort of professional and well-written way. And also with the magnitude of articles, I don't think we would ever be able to get this far without this team. So I just want to say publicly, thank you so much to the team. Thank you so much, guys. And I just want to name yous all individually, name and shame yous. So featured artist writer is Maximilian Foy. Our reviews is Paul Downey. Reviews and gaming is Paul Downey. Our opinion, then moving on to film and TV, is Claire Nolan. Level Up, Lindsay, Anna and Stephen, and our casual contributor Rebecca Cappuccini in reviews and opinion, but who actually, as a casual contributor right now, she actually really helped start this magazine, so she's a huge contributor. And Paul Archbold as well, who did pop culture and opinion for us as well, and Rob. So it's great. And Stephen, sorry, I didn't actually give you a shout out there as well in the intro. So Stephen, you only joined us, I think, as well, just before Christmas, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I might have just passingly mentioned you, but it's just great to have you on the team as well, man. And it's just great to get that technological knowledge in there. It really adds value to the team. So just wanted to give you a shout out for that one. So without further ado, and I'm going to shut up now. So I'd like to start off and give you guys the opportunity to sort of introduce yourselves and tell your story. It doesn't have to be magazine related. It can be yourselves or however way you feel like you want to introduce yourselves. And I guess I'll just start off with the most colourful person in the room right now, which is Maximilian Foy.
I thought you were going to go for Rebecca Cappuccini because those.
Well, it's a hard one. Yes.
Yeah, it's a toss-up.
This is it. My name is Maximilian Foy. I'm delighted to be a member of this deMars team. God, I don't know how I got in with Kozak through all sorts of mirth and mayhem of being involved in the Irish independent music scene for years upon years, and it's been a pleasure to work with them and a wonderful team on this magazine. And yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what you call me. I'm a rock and roller, a writer, a lover, and a fighter. Yeah, and I do featured articles for featured reviews for deMars. And that's about it.
Okay, and then I guess we'll go for the most second colourful person. Then I guess in that case, you know who you are.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Cappuccini. I'm back doing an interview, and we've had so many mad stories ever since. I don't consider myself much of a writer, but what I do behind the scenes is I do actually push the magazine as much as I can. I try to get as many people to send us in their EPKs as possible, connect with as many people as possible, and ensure that we are getting the best of music to then give on to people who can write far better than me. I am, however, getting a new rig, so I have a new desk area, and I will try again and write harder. It's just not my but yeah, I do the local 32 and I do my own interviews for my own company, and I help anyone with anything that they want to do at any point. And if you're in a band and you're looking for a mad colourful thing to help push you forward and cheer you on, I would recommend reaching out to me or I mean Max, he's more colourful, you know.
You just need to get your green screen, Rebecca, and
yeah. As again I say, I don't own a green screen. I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah.
And next up then, I guess we'll just go in order, and we can go with Anna. She's in the top right there.
Hello, my name is Anna. I am officially a journalist and a writer. Now, I've joined deMars magazine through Rebecca, actually. She just had this crazy idea, as she does, about me reaching out to Kozak and seeing if I would write for deMars. I am not a musician, I'm not an artist. I don't make music, so I was like, how am I going to fit there? And that is where Level Up came in. So I'm really, really focused and motivated on actually, you know, motivating people to be better, to be a better version of themselves. And that is how I fit into the magazine, which is kind of crazy, but I guess everybody wants to, you know, do some self-development and they want to explore the depths of themselves. So that is my role in here. And I'm so proud to be a part of this team.
Awesome.
They're so colourful.
We should all get green. Okay, sorry, it's not green screen. Fine, Colin. Right.
We'll get matching green.
All right, so Claire.
Hi, so I met Kozak long ago in Salons at Something in the Water when I was playing with a band called Living Village, and flash forward, then I was playing a gig for him in Chennai, and then flash forward, we were locked down and the band wasn't playing music, but Kozak and I had an interview, and I just really loved your energy, really loved what you were doing, and I had an interview then with Rebecca, and I was like, you guys need to talk. And then transmission was a thing, and then from transmission I really got to know Colin, Rebecca and Kozak. And when you had the idea for deMars magazine, it was just like a message, like, so have this idea, really like the way that you think and the way that you put yourself across. And I was doing Consider This at the time, so Kozak kind of knew that I wasn't afraid of a bit of, here, like, the world could be flat. So, so I don't know how, but I was given a platform to voice my opinions. And I'm proud now to be a part of such a wonderful team of people that just are so open-minded and so driven, so motivated and caring. And through all of this, really, like, whatever the reasoning was behind starting it, for me, this has just been a really lovely light in the middle of the madness, keep me creative. And I think that I'm always going to be so grateful to have met all of the writers that I have, that I only would have met from all of this happening. So for me, it's just been a wonderful experience, and I can't believe it's 100 articles. Well done, everybody.
Absolutely, yeah, well done. Absolutely. So Lindsay.
Hey, I'm Lindsay. Let's see, I've known Kozak for a couple of years now, I guess. We met in Chennai, and I was, I guess, an avid listener to when he started the deMars Live, and when he was interviewing a bunch of artists and stuff, and I absolutely loved it. And that was the bright spot in the beginning of the dark times, I guess, if you want to call it. But anyway, I actually don't remember when you approached me to ask or to write an article, but I remember he said, "Hey, would you like to write an article?" And it's like, yeah. I think I
rang you out of the blue. I think I just rang you randomly.
Yeah,
and
you
just
did.
asked you.
I mean, it was totally random.
The usual.
I'm very thankful that you did. Very thankful that you did. I'm actually a PhD student, and I'm studying music composition. So that's kind of where the academic fits in, because I'm heavily involved in academics at the moment. And I am also very grateful for this team. I've met these wonderful people that I probably might not have otherwise had the lockdowns not happened and had Kozak not contacted me to be a part of this team, and I'm very thankful for you guys.
Oh,
Now we need the lockdown to be lifted to meet.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Paul Downey.
Hello, I'm Paul. Kozak, I think I first met you about 6 or 7 years ago when Kozak was running the gigs in the Check-In. Remember that pub? That was a great pub. That's how long ago it was. And throughout the years, I got gigs in Chennai through Kozak. And my band, I play in a band called Warped Minds, and we won in the summer of 2019. We won the Crystal Skull Sessions, which was amazing. And after that, I was on holiday in Sicily, and I get a phone call from Kozak, and I'm like, what's this guy looking for? I'm on holidays. Like, I answer the call anyway, and he says, "Man, do you want to be in a Beastie Boys band?" And I'm like, yeah, of course. And every opportunity that Kozak has given me, I've said yes to, because I know that it's fun. There's so much drive there. And when gigs and all had stopped for a while, and I get a call from Kozak back in October, November, and he said, "Man, do you want to start writing reviews?" I said, absolutely I will, because every idea that I've said yes to has been a good one. So in terms of Kozak. So now I'm doing, for all of you musicians who submit music, I'm one of you as well. I'm in that pool with you, and I'm taking my review writing from that point of view, that I'm imagining I'm the one submitting this music, and I honestly want to try and push as much of those musicians' career as far forward as I possibly can, because every one of you write beautiful music and I love it, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to hear so much music prior to this. So I am forever grateful to be part of this crew, and I can't wait for us to expand and go forward into the future.
Guys, I love this. This is so nice. It's so overdue almost, isn't it? It feels so nice to kind of express that. I just asked you to introduce yourselves, but I love how we're going back to how we met, and I love how it's not good that every sentence is starting with Kozak as well. It's not good. It's not good for my ego, but I'm absolutely humbled. I'm absolutely humbled, guys. And last,
Kozak.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, Stephen Brennan, who is actually the last person to join the team as well. So Stephen, you're very, very welcome. Tell the guys a little bit about yourself.
Somebody just said loads of really nice things there, and I was kind of thinking about what to say. So I didn't really come to anything in particular. Yeah, no, I think I am. No, I'm only joking. No, I think like I met Kozak whenever I did a release of an electronic music album from last year, and I think you streamed it while you were playing some games on deMars Live, and then on a completely separate side of things, I was writing articles on LinkedIn about music tech stuff, and it wasn't getting amazing traction on there because nobody on LinkedIn knows anything about music in my circles. So I was just like, why doesn't everybody read my articles that are like 10 minutes long about reverb? So yeah. But then I got onto Kozak, and he had deMars magazine started up, and I was like, I've got these articles, and hey, no one's reading them over there, and I know everybody loves reverb and compression over there, so have my articles, please.
That's amazing.
But So I really love writing for the magazine because like a few other people have said, it's such a nice release in lockdown to have something to do, and like that's still kind of music related, but it's not, we can't gig anymore, which sucks. But at the same time, writing about reverb and nerdy music things is like a close second, right? But yeah, no, it's just been really good, and I can't wait to meet everyone in person, and I love reading all the articles as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. And guys, absolutely lovely introductions there, and I'm just very humbled. Like it is quite because you don't look, sometimes it's just hard to look at kind of the whole project, isn't it, until you have moments like these to sort of reflect and go like, wow, how much we've all achieved together, really, you know what I mean, so far in such a short space of time. And then you can look at sort of the potential of what the future can hold for us all. So it's absolutely fantastic. So thanks so much for sharing your piece there, guys, and for saying such lovely words. And I'm so happy and humbled that you guys are enjoying yourselves with deMars. And all you guys out there as well tuning in, thanks so much for all your comments. I'm just checking them out here. I'm sure you guys might have, the writers might have their phones open, however, as well to see. Rebecca doesn't. But so then I will read out some of the comments. So we've got Red Fella who says 100 articles. What an well done.
I know who that is.
Who's that?
That's the boyfriend.
Oh, is it? No way. That's amazing. What's the story, boyfriend? So he says, what will the next 100 involve or be about? That's a very interesting question, because we're adding in new sections as well. We're adding in film and TV, and we're adding in more gaming. So I wonder what the next. Anna's just going, feck's sake! What? Can't believe.
Text him now.
Can't believe he did. I'm gonna slay him after this. But it is a fair question, I have to say. There's so much potential. I guess it just kind of. I guess it's a natural sort of course. Do any of you guys have a thought on sort of where you see it going, or?
I'd be interested to see what people want to see. Do you know, like, especially coming from like my section, which is opinion, like it's very difficult to know which of your opinions are relevant. Do you know, like which of the ones, what are the ones you should keep to yourself and what are the ones that you should share with people, especially nowadays, especially nowadays. And it's not because, it's just, we're at a point where people need to be honest. It's whether or not people want to hear that, especially with the music magazine. I'm interested going forward as to whether or not that's something that people were interested in. Do you know?
Yeah, and it does, and it's we're still young. Do you know what I mean? We're so young compared to other magazines that are doing what we're doing, and there aren't really many that are doing it on sort of the independent music caliber that we're doing. We're on the ball. We're releasing our articles when the artist releases their songs. We're current and we're up to date. So there's very little magazines now in our,
and sometimes in advance
of the songs, right? So it's very it's just, you just got to go with it, I suppose, and see. But feedback is really important. So absolutely, and that was one of my questions actually that I did write down to ask the audience is, what kind of articles do you enjoy the most from deMars magazine at the moment?
Skipping to the end.
Just to throw in there on the review side of it, what I am loving the most about doing this is like we have hit so many different genres of music. Like I've done everything from country and western to like synthwave to like doom metal to everything in between, and that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm loving the aggressive pursuing of exactly what this magazine was set up to be, which is nurturing the artists around that aren't getting a chance to be heard. You know what I mean? People the type of people who would play at Shin A and be delighted to be on the stage for 20 minutes at the Crystal Skull sessions. People who were hungry but aren't really getting the chance to be listened to. And God, it means so much to them when me and Paul do our review, like the feedback that we get, it means more to me getting the feedback that it might do to them, doing the review, because it's just really nice to hear that your words are nurturing somebody. And we've had people who've been doing this for years and still love the reviews, but like I wrote it and he sent back such a lovely message, how he was terrified of putting out it's his first song. It was an absolutely brilliant song, but it was like, it was his first time dipping his foot in the water, and it was like his first review, and it was a special review to him, and that was like amazing to me, just as validation as to why we do it. You know what I mean? And why we should massively push on and do this, but more. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I suppose that can lead on maybe to a question. What was sort of and I'll ask yourself and Paul, I guess, this one. What's sort of an artist, or what's a genre that you got given that you normally aren't into, but you got sort of swayed towards because of, did you ever get like those kind of surprises when writing a review? And maybe I'll ask yourself, Paul, first.
Yeah, well, the first one that really stuck with me was that the song by Sully Bush, which is, I've never listened to, like, I don't even know what to call it. That's how embarrassed I am about this. But it was like EDM. I don't know, but it was like electronic dance music. You'd hear it in a club, and I was like, I would never usually listen to that. Normally, it's not that I have anything against it. And I listened to this song, and when I was given the opportunity to review it, I was like, okay, I need to really listen to it. And damn, I don't know if you saw, but then like a few days later on social media, I was up at like 3 a.m. listening to EDM, 90s EDM, everything. And I was like, whoa, I love this. This is so good. And it was just, I was just thrown into the deep end. And I don't know, Kozak, I told you about that when I got that. I was like, whoa, this is really difficult. And I remember you saying to me, you said like, oh, I can pass it on to Maximilian if you want. And I was like, no, I love this. It's great. This is like trial by fire. So definitely I was listening to more like electronic dance music now since this. And damn, I love it.
That's great.
I think it's the worst time to fall in love with EDM, Paul. I can't wait to go and see this in the club. Oh,
yeah. I just set up a nightclub in my own place. I have a flashing like bicycle light.
We're just alone in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And what about yourself, Colin? Have you had? Because I know you have a very varied genre, so I don't know if it's applicable to you. Is it?
I listen to pretty much everything, like so. But I suppose stuff that I hadn't really like. Kind of answered the question. One of the first ones I did was Alexi, and his wonderful chillwave stuff. Now, when I'd listened to chillwave years and years ago, because there were those like weird Simpsons chillwave videos on YouTube, and I used to watch them like when I came home and everybody had gone to bed after the session. I'd smoke fags and drink whatever drink was left in the place and put on the chillwave stuff, and that really brought me back. But I hadn't listened to it in absolutely years, and I never listened to it really, gave it musical, merit other than, this is to help me chill out. And I absolutely loved it. And I love Alexi's little nods to, I suppose 90s pop culture and anime and all the Toonami stuff that I used to watch when I was a kid, and really, really loved it. And the other one, this is an interesting one. You sent me a person called Martin Emoji.
Yeah, that was recently. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, it's like, God, how would you describe it? It's like Scandinavian folk cinematic dream music. And you know what it reminded me of? One of my favorite CDs growing up was the Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers soundtrack.
Very good.
And that so totally brought me back to that song. Not only did I love the song, but it brought me back to a place where I was like a long time ago in my loft room in my parents' house, listening to that over the summer between first and second year of college. So that was awesome. So yeah, those two kind of probably.
It's great getting those curveballs. I do reflect back to Paul. I think it was a little bit different, Paul. I think I was like, "Oh shit, sorry. I don't think I meant to send you that one," because I think initially I'll always give the quirkier ones to Colin just by default. Which no, at the beginning, because I always just sort of thought it was a safer bet. But I'm so happy to know that I don't have to do that, and I think I knew after that EDM moment, after the Sully Bush situation. Bushgate, I knew. I was like, okay, great. Paul's totally open-minded, and I love it. And that was a really nice insight into you as a writer as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's fantastic. And Colin, I know that you are just so open-minded, and I absolutely love it. And Rebecca, so you started out to doing reviews, and listen, you keep saying, oh, you know, I'm not that great, blah, 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 blah. And I can't listen to that from you because you're absolutely fantastic. And it was an absolute pleasure doing reviews with yourself, Rebecca. So tell us a little bit about your experience starting out with doing reviews, because I know you've been used to doing interviews all the time, all verbal, and now you're writing, so I know it's a big leap for you, but I thought you did absolutely fantastic. I think everybody else agrees. So tell us a little bit about that transition for you.
I love doing reviews. I love it. I love speaking passionately about music. I love it. It just takes me about 6 hours to write a 250 word review because I don't believe in copy and EPKs. Actually, it grinds my gears every time I now see anyone else doing a review and I've gotten the EPK and I know that it's a copy and paste. I want to punch someone in the face because these people are coming to us because their music is so important to them. And I don't want to just replicate something they wrote. I want to help them push their product forward. I want to love their music as much as they do. Because if this means that much to them, me doing a copy and paste job is not doing them justice. And that's why it was difficult for me to keep going with the reviews, because childcare situation changed. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Writing is just not as easy as it is to other people for me. So I love writing reviews. I loved doing it. It's just finding the time to do it. And because I want to do it so passionately, like everything I do, it's just difficult to find it. But I loved getting like songs before anyone else hears them and being trusted with something that nobody else is going to hear for like 3 more weeks. And this person believes in you so much and they believe in their baby and they want to hear what you think of their baby because their baby is everything. And that's how you have to treat this. You know, it's very special. And I love that about all the reviews on deMars, because everyone takes their time and they write their real words. Like we have 2 musicians here and we have a passionate cheerleader, you know, done with love. It's not
the best cheerleader.
Yeah, and it is a fair...
The loudest, definitely.
It's definitely a fair point you make, though, like with regard to, you know, other magazines writing, copying. And we've gotten that, copying the EPK, and we've gotten that a lot back, especially recently as well. I don't know what it is, if we're just putting more out there and more returning back to us now. We're getting more feedback, we're getting more comments. Dave's saying, you know, there's a comment section underneath the articles, but people don't tend to comment on websites. They'll comment on social media much quicker. You won't get comments on websites unless it's all spam, unfortunately. So it's funny you mentioned that. It's probably Dave with different accounts. But no, it's very important what you mentioned there, Rebecca. You know, we don't do that. We don't copy. And that's what we can pride ourselves on that. And I do write that back to every message that say, I'm so happy with the review. And I'm like, so delighted. And I'll always mention the writer and say, we all pride ourselves on not copying and pasting the EPK. It's great to have the EPK just to have an overview, but and a lot of magazines do that, and a lot of notable ones, which we'll not mention, do that actually. And you know, so this is where we lead. You know, this is where we can actually come out as the underdogs and possibly go ahead of it. You know, ahead of the competition. And not that I see it exactly like that, but you know, if that's what musicians want, then why not be the pioneers in doing that? You know what I mean? Not necessarily pioneers, but you know, lead the way and be the forefront of writing articles. And
that's a pioneer,
I suppose, right?
I think as well, one of the interesting things is, and when from us having that eye now, when we go onto different websites and we see all of that crack, you know, of just this is an you know, looking for maybe a little bit of information about an artist, and you're like, oh, this is what I've just gotten in the email. It could be a little bit weird, and it does validate what we're doing, but also I think that, you know, the little bit of nurturing that we're doing, like in everything that we get, like we know you could go like have people who, God, they sound like they've been produced in Abbey Road, or you could have people that sound like they've been produced in their bedroom. The key is to just zero in on that little one thing that, God, is brilliant about this song. Like, and you could say, oh, well, you know, Joe doesn't sound like he's been, you know, produced vocally in the studio, but God, like, you know, that's real balls he puts into that chorus, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And that's you know what it should be, because we're dealing with artists here who are trying so hard. As Rebecca said, these are their babies, and you know, I think it's a great thing that we do, just focusing in on stuff like that. It's like, because a little story that I had is I played with a guitar player once. We had our first EP, and first review that we got, which was a little demo that we made in our room, and the review was so bad that guitar player stopped playing guitar. So that kind of, honest to God, yeah, like was so like it was a really hard thing for him to be in a band and for him to play in front of people, and it just really you know hit him hard, and that's my motivation to to just really focus on the good stuff and push the good stuff, because there's so much negative you can say about anything, but the good stuff just really means a lot to people.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how long it takes you to realize that they're going to talk shit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, like, it's amazing.
Absolutely,
like, but,
100%.
And the one thing I love about that, and you're right, like, and I agree with it about the magazine, is that, like, everybody on the team knows that, like, art is subjective. There might be a song that you like that Kozak might hear and you might not like it, or particularly it might not be your style of thing, but there'll always be someone to pick out what's good about it, because just because an individual person doesn't like that one song doesn't mean it's not worthy of being heard. It's like you're saying about it being produced in a bedroom. A lot of radio shows don't play any of that because it's not of the same standard. And that to me is like, how can you normalize people who are recording in their bedrooms if you won't play their music on the radio?
Absolutely.
Do you know, like, you're keeping a standard of impossible height for people. Whereas I love that this, like you said, Colin, like, I love that this magazine makes a point of giving everybody a chance to be heard.
Yeah.
Well, the difference between the super well produced stuff and the stuff that sounds like it's produced in a bedroom is money. It's not talent.
Yeah.
It's not talent. It's not creativity. Money is the gatekeeping here in terms of what gets radio play. And yeah, definitely, I think that at least one of my main goals is, like Colin was saying, just look past that, find the good and amplify that. Because money should not be a way to gatekeep talented musicians from making it and getting themselves put in the limelight.
That's it. Like, I think not to go too political, but there's the whole thing about like. We can't get 60% of Irish musicians to get radio play because it interferes with the free trade system with the European Union. And as far as I'm concerned, Irish music and promoting that is a cultural thing. It's not a business. So I don't think it should be included when it comes to government. It should be an Irish level. It should be a musician-led effort, to be honest with you, because we're the people it affects, but we never get a seat at the table. But I had to get that in there.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's so nice to hear that from you. That ethos is there and it's strong, and a lot of it is there because it's first-hand experience. You are the musicians, and it's awesome that we have the musicians focusing in on the reviews. And I mean, even with your opinion section, Claire, you're honing into the music industry as is, and these standards that we have to fulfill as well as people and as artists, exposing ourselves on Instagram, for example. Some of your articles touched on that sort of, that we have to keep ourselves in, with filters and all this kind of thing, and there's a lot of that pressure on as well on top of it. And that's one less thing we don't want to have to think about, is having to bleeding abide by specific restrictions or however, or fulfill parameters to make a bleeding song go on the radio, which is such a shame. I think 20% of music on radio, there is this sort of, and it's not necessarily managed well, and I'll just finish on this point, that 20% is supposed to be Irish musicians, so I think there should be 20% should be independent artists, to be honest with you. There should be something like that brought in. But now with the rise of live streaming and independent publications opening up, just kind of like this one, there is sort of, you can see that, there is a market for it. We're not short on articles. We're not short on people wanting to contribute. We're not short on music coming in. So it's great that, these kind of things can exist. I suppose even as well, like there's us trying to push artists and there's artists trying to push themselves, but there's also the middle people that I have a new I suppose appreciation for, like the likes of Colin at Fluttertone and people like that, who are so passionate about putting artists in front of people like us, to push. So they're very, very much a cog in the machine that needs to be appreciated. 100%. I'm glad you mentioned that as well. So Vamp and Fade PR as well, Kevin from Vamp and Fade, and you can see how much they are committed, you know, to getting artists out there on either blogs and radio stations. It's a hard job. And imagine some musicians are doing all that themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Including the graphic design, including, you know, sending out emails, include all that stuff on top of the recording from home, only to be belittled by some guy behind a desk that probably isn't a musician, you know, poking at the bad points in a song. It's horrible, you know. But it's great to see that there are so many amazing people pushing it. So moving away from this one and into sort of this new section that we've developed, which is Level Up. And that's including Anna, Lindsay and Stephen here. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to sort of chat and sort of get your points on. And look at me, we're asking the questions here all of a sudden, like as if this wasn't meant to be a Q&A where other people are meant to... Wait, hold on, I forgot what I'm doing here. Wait a minute, this is a Q&A. Sorry, I'm not interviewing... I swear, I actually lost myself for that second there. But let me just quickly look at the chat, I guess. Paul Archibald is in the chat. So Paul, welcome and thanks for tuning in. By the way, Paul has written a few articles for us, and he was questioning there. He was asking a weekly quiz section. No, just me. I think Paul Downey mentioned something like that as well on deMars Live. It would work really well. So that's definitely something. I think if two Pauls are already saying something like that, it must be a sign from the universe.
It must be wrong.
Two rights make a wrong, right? Or two Pauls make a wrong. But yeah, no.
One Paul makes it wrong.
Two Pauls make it petty.
Yeah. So, by the way, yeah, you guys tuning in, you are welcome to ask any of our writers. Either you want to ask them individually, their names are up on the screen. I think you can see most of them there, most of the names. I don't think you can see Paul's and Stephen's there at the bottom, but you can ask them individual questions or ask our section questions. So anyway, segueing back into look at me going all over the place here, to Level Up, Anna, Lindsay and Stephen. So Anna, let's start with yourself. How I guess, how are you finding the Level Up section with regard, because I know you are into that in your own sort of blogs and you have journalistic background, and tell us a little bit about sort of, I guess, what you like a lot about what you write and yeah, that kind of stuff. I didn't prepare anything. All my notes are gone. Like I have no more notes left. Clearly, yeah. Just I don't know what I'm doing. So, but tell us a little bit about the Level Up. I guess I'll be very interested to kind of segue into that, and then we'll get our brains thinking, and we'll get Lindsay and Stephen involved.
Perfect. It is something I very much enjoy doing in everyday life. So I'm very much about motivation outside of deMars as well. Like all of my social media is very much about, you can do this, you're a kick-ass person. Like this is how you can get over this. This is how you can, do something or not do something. For example, Claire and I at the moment are doing a 21-day challenge where we're pushing ourselves to drink 1 coffee a day, which is going great. I'm disappointed to say. We're trying to meditate and we're trying to develop a skill, and my coach actually told me that's a bit much now, you wouldn't expect that from anybody else. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. You wouldn't expect that from anybody else. So those kinds of things, just really pushing yourself to do better and really kind of experiencing the fullness of who you can become. Now obviously that is with every single new version of yourself, but that really drives me, and I also want every single musician on this planet to succeed. So I do want to tell them and give them the toolbox really to just succeed in their personal lives, in their careers, in their relationships, in whatever they want to succeed, and that goes for every human as well. So that is really the essence of me and what I do and why I love contributing to deMars. And I'd love to delve in other things as well, but I think I'm like a little fish in Level Up. So, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of challenges are coming. So yeah, I think that's it.
It's still very.
I really think that's
it's
it.
still very new. Level Up is like 3 months old, really, and we kind of slowly delved into it. Which is amazing. So there was just kind of like this broad, just like the question that I asked you there. There was this kind of broad sort of concept in the air of like, how do we? I'm doing the Rebecca thing now, haven't I? With the hands, Rebecca. Yeah. this broad. We're delving. I'm losing myself here. We're delving into places outside of music as well, which is really important because obviously we were going into the winter at that time, dark time, especially with a bleeding lockdown. It's already winters are tough in Ireland already as they are. So to have somebody like yourself contributing. To sort of shine that light during the darkness of like, oh, by the way, you can take these easy steps or you can do something not that might be easy for everybody, but like it's a step-by-step process. You're breaking it down for people, which is extremely important, but plus you're practicing it. I know we were chatting on the phone during the week and I find that extremely admirable that you even no matter how much one can hold the practice down, it's very difficult to maintain a consistent rhythm. But that you're trying it, you know what I mean, and you're actually putting it into play, which is amazing. You can see that that's genuine, which is amazing, and that's kind of how I envisioned it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like okay, it's something to help people do better, so as general as that is. And then we delved into other elements within that, which Lindsay focused on, which was more sort of on the academic level, and with Lindsay's background as well, hugely orientated about the sort of really the theoretical part of music and sort of the intelligent part of music. Forgive me for saying so. Not you, Lindsay. I'm bigging you up here. I'm putting myself down here because what you're doing is fantastic, and the fact that you're doing a PhD in the middle of it all is just absolutely astounding. And when I asked you to take a break, you said no. You said maybe. I'll think about it. Thanks, which is just amazing. But tell us a little bit about sort of your, I guess. What's the question? Does anybody want to help me out here? Well, I
background information.
I can't look. Where do the smarts come from?
Credit card information.
Yeah, I'm done.
You claim to be very good at words.
Does claim that.
We're good at words, we promise.
I tend to be good at reading his mind and being able to make a sentence out of what he's trying to say. So I guess.
Thanks,
how does
Rebecca.
one as intelligent as you simplify music so perfectly in an article format so that laymen's like myself and Kozak may understand and comprehend the beauty of what you do?
Bam.
Well done, Kozak. Well
There you go. There you go, guys.
And
Couldn't
she
have said it
said
better
she's
myself.
not a writer. Like
Hashtag woman sing.
I know.
come on, like that was beautifully put. Come on. Okay, so I guess there's a couple of different angles I feel like I can take with this question. I've actually been involved in education for my whole life, and obviously, everybody goes to school, like that kind of thing. But even when I was in middle school and stuff, my mom was a teacher, and I was always around, and I watched her work with students, and I just kind of picked up on it. And then in high school, I started actually kind of not taking over classes, but I would watch classes for teachers, and I would actually teach subject material in some cases. And then in college, I was teaching percussion and marching music and stuff like that. And so I feel like a lot of my education background is really beneficial in this area, because I know how to communicate very complex concepts in a very I try to be a relatable person. I guess is the best way to put that. I just try to think, okay, if this wasn't my thing, how would I want someone to explain it to me?
Awesome.
So, and then I take that with this being the student part as well. Because being a student is really weird right now. And I am taking a short break now. I did take him up on his offer for a short break now because I'm in my last month of the dissertation, which takes up 102% of my time. So so it's okay, well, what do I as a student need to hear right now, and what kind of advice would I want someone to tell me? And then I try to take my own advice. It's one of those things that you don't really take your own advice, but I hope that it helps someone else. So
No, the
I
feeling.
guess, does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
On a personal level, like I am very inspired by the Level Up section. Like I really enjoy your articles. Like they really do put me back on track. And if I feel a bit lost, I do tend to go to that segment on our website. And it's not just because I know you. It's just it puts me into a headspace of, okay, I need to get back on track. I don't want to be calling the girls the whole time. What advice do I need? And there it is. But that's how it feels. You write it in a way that it's like your friend telling you exactly what you need to hear in that moment. Do you know, like that's why it's inspiring, you know, and I just don't know if you needed to hear that, but
It's always good to hear that. I'm sure, yeah.
Well, and I also try to like do it from a musician standpoint also.
Yeah.
Because I just realized that I actually forgot to address that part. That I actually am involved in music myself.
I think it was alluded to.
Yeah. I actually do. I compose music, and so like I come from a completely different area. So it's like trying to appeal to like that group of people, but also like singers, songwriters, bands, that kind of stuff. So
it's a Lindsay.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah.
Claire, Colin, and I write music, but Lindsay composes music, so she's on a different level.
Oh, she definitely is.
There's so much truth in that fact. Like in that sentence.
It's just a different area, you know. But that's one thing that's so beautiful about music is like we can all sit here and have a very in-depth conversation about music, but there will be so many different backgrounds and experiences, but we can all still relate somehow. It's a beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah, and it's great to have that variation as well of different musical backgrounds, right?
Absolutely.
It's really important. Claire, you were going to say something?
It's a big thing I miss about gigs. Like it doesn't matter who's standing in the room with you, what they think, what their opinion is, what like outside of that room, it doesn't matter. You're all there for the same thing. And it was just this feeling of unity. And it didn't matter if 2 days later you saw that person and they weren't who you thought they were in that evening. None of it was relevant. In that moment, you were all there just to experience that one thing, and you all found this common ground. And it's like that common ground gone is a very big hole.
I can actually 100% agree with that, because I had a theory of, especially with Shin A and just a vibe that we had going on there for a while before the whole world was put on lockdown. It was kind of a vibe and a general harmony in the Dublin musician gig going scene that we were all a part of. And like I think I got pissed one night and said to you about a band that I didn't like. I was like, God, they just kind of came in and ruined it, didn't they? Just what we had going on there. They kind of affected up, didn't they? And so I get exactly what you mean. Like, you know, it's a really, I suppose, a personal vibration that we were all kind of hanging on. That's kind of been gone. And for Kozak, and I don't know if Polly, if you were there as well, I look back to the last gig that we were all at together, which was Brew's single launch. And that to me has taken on the face of gigs. It's like, I wish we could all be in, like, you know, hearing Bruce sing about bloody Dublin, you know. Just again, like it's absolutely gas just to say that, because I totally agree with you.
Yeah. No, honestly, I missed that. Like you said, the vibrating in harmony. It's a vibration. You walk into the room and it's like, do you ever notice when you're at a gig as well, you can feel it shift when there's going to be a scrap in the corner.
Big
like
time.
Everybody turns and like something has gone off in the room, and everybody knows it's in the corner, because it's just a special place. It is. There needs to be somebody paying attention to the fact that it's so necessary for people spiritually.
Well, the best thing that I noticed in playing gigs, especially at the Crystal Skull and everything, it really didn't matter if you liked the music or not. Everyone was like, wow, you had the nerve and the balls to go up there and put your heart on your sleeve and do your thing. And that's so cool. And I'm so thankful that you did that. You know what I mean? And that's, I think every musician in the room felt that way. Do you know what I mean? And then it was great when you got up on stage and you felt, it doesn't matter if I hit a bum note. It doesn't matter if my voice goes. we're all in this together, and it's such good fun.
Unless
They're
you're
making me want to go on stage.
Do it, Anna. Go on.
If we're ever allowed back on stage, Anna, I highly recommend it.
I will bomb him. All of your concerts. Be there. Fighting for the mic.
And Stephen, so
Right.
tell us a little bit about your contribution to Level. Actually, tell us a little bit about I'm actually very curious to ask you, what is sort of like the one thing that when musicians are recording from home, what is something that and you maybe you don't have an answer to this, so sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I can ask you something else. Just curious, what is the one thing that isn't, let's say, maybe focused on, or you think that maybe isn't as known to do? Did you ever run into something like that even yourself? Maybe you're like, oh, wait a minute, because I know you're like delving into reverb, let's say, for example, and it's like, oh, I didn't know it did these particular functions, or it did this to a specific part of, or a track, whether it's a vocal track or a guitar, and because we're talking about digital music with yourself, is there any kind of moments like that for you that are sort of like highlight?
Yeah, so I guess like just to start with what you guys were talking about earlier, I think one of the reasons that I'm submitting the articles is that, like you say, there's basically like kind of a river that you need to cross if you're making music now that you didn't have to cross before, and that you can't go into the studio anymore to get your professional quality recordings. So you're kind of stuck at home with your guitar and your computer. Like a lot of the motivation of the articles is how do you get to radio quality music as cheaply as possible. And luckily now we actually can do it pretty cheaply, so it's not so bad. So a lot of the reasons that the articles I'm writing, like with the reverb one, it's kind of taking the piss a little bit, but hopefully it's still a little bit informative. But the idea is, like, if you want to make music at home, what are the things you need to look out for so that you produce something that's not completely unlistenable? And like, it's great that the magazine have reviewers that forgive bad production, but unfortunately, as you go up or as you go across the spectrum of different magazines you review, a lot of them will critique on production, which is, I don't know, it's not really fair considering the times we're in. But like, for instance, I think it's like Bluefish Diamond released a really well produced track recently. And then one magazine picked up on the fact that they didn't like the way the drums were produced, which is just bullshit, because it's like, nobody's sitting there listening to the music being like, yeah, beautiful lyrics, beautiful song, like really well written, amazing musicality, but I really didn't like the way that they just EQ the drums ridiculous. Wrong, which is just like,
is this Saint Anger?
Yeah, like I mean if it ruins the whole thing, it's different, but like,
yeah.
In terms of stuff that people miss at home, I think it's super easy to get into home recording now, more so than ever before. And as well as that, there's so much free stuff out there, and there's so many ways of getting stuff that you should have to pay for free if you're into that, which I'm not advocating at all. But like, if you want to make music at home, it's like, yeah, the big mistakes, I guess, with live streaming, like reverb is the big one, where people will go online and they'll do a live stream, and like, I think it's a lot of it is lack of confidence. So if you're playing at a gig in town and you've got a sound engineer, the sound engineer will, set your sound up for you, and there may be a little bit of reverb there, or there might be a little bit of EQing going on. But when you're at home yourself and there's a live stream happening in like 30 minutes and you're sitting there listening to your monitors, you're like, oh shit, I sound terrible through this. I'm just going to jack up the reverb a little bit. And you're like, oh, it sounds good. I think I'll put a little bit more reverb on it. And then maybe you'll be like, ooh, maybe I'll add a little bit of auto wah to my guitar. And then before you know it, it's a world music album and everybody's like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, I think the main thing with home production is to keep it simple and keep it honest. So you know your sound better than anyone else, and don't try and mess with it just because suddenly you have the mixing desk in your hands rather than the hands of a sound engineer. Try and think of what it would sound like if you were at a gig and stick to that. So
awesome.
Even just about what you do yourself about your articles, I've really enjoyed your articles because I look at it as a way of, people don't tend to, when you're doing stuff like this, I feel like young musicians feel like it's too, it's a stupid question to ask. When you're talking about reverb and when you're talking about like compression and stuff like that, they're like, we should know, people will think we should know what this is. So they don't necessarily ask anybody, and they just, go along on their own, where you lay out stuff like that. And it's such a fantastic tool to have, and really, you know, it actually complements our stuff, because we're like, you know, your stuff is great and you're coming along with, and here's how you make it better.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think on your point there, like, I think the learning stuff is, because I know when I started this as well, I grew up in Fermanagh, and there is a really good music scene there, but nothing like the same size as what we have in Dublin. But it did seem like there was kind of an older crowd who were already established, and like, I definitely didn't have the money when I was growing up to go into a recording studio. So I think my guitar board had a distortion pedal on it and maybe a wah pedal, and that was it. And it was just running into a valve amp. And then it was the case where, like, you don't know what you don't know. So some bands will come along from like Belfast or whatever, and it'll sound unbelievable. And you'll be looking at these kind of crazy pedals on their board, just being like, I don't know what any of this is. So, but like, I guess with with the amount of kind of videos on YouTube and stuff to teach you this stuff, it's not so bad. But at the same time, like, it's nice to know what all of the dials do, rather than just having people who know the presets. So it's super easy to go into like Ableton or Reaper or whatever, load up a reverb plugin, and then just be like, I'm going to choose the male vocal preset, and then use that for everything. And I've done it myself as well, but like, once you actually learn what everything does, it makes it much easier to sound better, because everybody has their own unique sound, and the male vocal plugin is probably made for, like, I don't know, like Justin Timberlake or something.
Awesome. So do you guys have any questions, anything else you wanted to ask each other? Because I sort of realized I just took over that whole thing again, so my bad. But it was great you guys intervened there, so that was great. You got to say a little bit as well. So do you have any questions? I know I said if you wanted to ask, if you had any curiosities to ask your fellow writers, and that goes of course to anybody in the comments section as well. I see we have Martin Eastwood. So Martin, thanks so much. He says, congrats on 100 articles, guys. Here's to many more. Martin was our guest on the deMars Live not too long ago. So Martin, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. And yeah, Shauna Quinn, not a question, but I just wanted to say that Paul's article on the GameStop debacle. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I haven't said that word in so long. It sounds weird to say it. Really helped me understand it better. So thank you. There you go.
Great article, actually.
Yeah, isn't that great? And it is like what you're sort of saying, Colin, was, you know, those are kind of questions that are, you know, you'd feel kind of silly to ask, and it kind of spans across all of our articles almost, isn't it? It's sort of like it's really answering those questions, but like, people are genuinely benefiting from these level up section, these articles. I think from everything, they truly are benefiting from this. So I think it's fantastic, and the fact that we have so many categories covered now is absolutely brilliant. So I think it's really going in a good direction. And yeah, Dave's asking any yokes. Maybe later.
Kozak, you like, for the last year, you've been the one asking all the questions, so I want to ask you a question. You
know you're not supposed to do that. You know what happens when you ask Kozak a question? It's like feeding the trolls after midnight.
Why didn't you call me back? No, I'm just kidding.
That's probably true.
No, but seriously. Yeah. No, but seriously, I mean, your whole sort of life, as much as everyone else, completely went upside down. You know, you were the event organizer, and it was you that had the initiative to say, I'm going to do this podcast initially, and then you evolved it into the magazine. And I'm just wondering, at these individual points, you know, what was it that said to you, just like, you know what, I'd love to do the podcast, or I'd love to do the magazine? What was it for you that kind of made you go, okay, well, my life has been forced to change now, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, it's a good question, man, because it's really hard to pin it down. It's almost as low like rational explanation for why I'm actually taking action towards something. I'm very right-brained in my thinking when it comes across to doing a project or to organizing thing, and it's all based highly on communication with people within my circle. So it's very sort of sporadic and unexplainable. It comes out of conversations, it comes out of interaction, it comes out of inspiration, and it's not necessarily something where I sit down and logically plan things out. I'm not that kind of person, which is interesting. That would be more so a second step, right? Sort of like, you know, plan things out. But with regard to like the initial sort of lockdown and, you know, transitioning into doing the live interviews, it's something that's been there for a long time and hasn't been done because of my own fears. because of my own lack of confidence and because of my low self-image at the time, you know. So for example, a Crystal Skull session, low self-image with regard to that project. I had high self-image with regard to other projects. As a drummer, I had a high self-image at, 70% of the time when I practiced. When I didn't, I had a low self-image because I was shy, in my opinion, right? But people thought I was whatever, which didn't always matter. But anyway, going back onto it, was that with the Crystal Skull sessions, I had this idea and it was just going on in my head like clockwork every couple of weeks. It's like, interview the bands before they go up on stage. You have your Zoom thing, you have a little cubby room. If you've been there, you've seen the little room where we all chill out. Interview the feckin' bands. I never got around to doing it. I think live streaming was there as well. It was like, or film it, you know, that kind of stuff. I didn't feel like I had the technology. I didn't feel confident enough. And I didn't end up doing it. And that was for like maybe a year or something before the lockdown, really. It was really becoming strong. And then just before, because I studied journalism, you know, I did all this kind of stuff, you know, before, years ago now. Like, this was about 8 to 10 years ago, and I didn't follow through with it in the end, for whatever reasons I can't fully explain. Maybe it's best not to try to find the answer. But funny enough, and I don't know if you know this, but 2 weeks before the pandemic, before the lockdown, I contacted Phoenix FM. Some of you might know this story. And I applied to run a program for Phoenix FM, not knowing where this was all going, not knowing what the world was going to become. I was going to tie it in with deMars, but mostly to interview artists and play music, because I noticed, like, people complaining, like, there's no independent music being played. I'm struggling to find it. Do you know how I can get on the radio? Do you know this? And I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. And I was like, well, now I want to know. So I sent in my program, I sent in my running order, I sent in all that kind of stuff, and lo and behold, the pandemic happened, and I was like, okay, it's not happening, because they have to meet a board of directors to do all this. They can't just like let a show happen and stuff. So that didn't happen. And then I honestly don't remember the top process at all. It was just like, I really can't remember. All I remember is Dave Duggan once again being at the start of that and designing my border. Dave, you're there in the chat. And then honestly, there's I don't think there's any thought process to what I do, guys. I really don't think there is. It's just like, all it is, it's like a kid. It's like a kid that wants sweets. It's like, everything. I want to do this. And I'm just doing it. No, it's not even I want it. It's like, I'm doing this. That's what it is. Yeah.
Shoot first, ask questions.
Just I'm doing this. Yeah, I think that's the short answer.
It's funny though, because you might think that all of these things are unconnected, you know, flights of fancy, that I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, but every little thing that you do gives somebody an opportunity to do something. Like the Crystal Skull, like for me, like I was just after coming like out of a band that, you know, we're doing pretty well, and I was like, oh, we broke up now, what the hell am I going to do? And your Crystal Skull gave me the confidence to get back up on stage and actually do this stuff on my own. Like, you know, with like, let's say Rebecca, you know, was, you know, unconfident about being a writer. Here's Rebecca, you know, writing amazing articles and stuff. You know, it, like, everything that you do has the knock-on effect of doing something positive for somebody. And that's why keep on doing what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's I have a high belief in action over words. You know what I mean? So you might know that about me. You know what I mean? I don't, as much as how I phrase things verbally and whatnot, and they can be so different depending on when you catch me, you know, from time to time. But for me, it's the action that makes the massive value. And if there's no action to something, it's unfortunate as well, because it can be within people too, you know, and it's definitely within myself. I can't regard it as highly, you know, and that's just putting it very simply. You know, it's very difficult for my brain to regard it, however my brain functions. So for me, it's like, I don't like talking about stuff, you know what I mean? That's why I probably don't do interviews too much. I don't know. It's like, it's more so I'm just like, I want the action of running a show. I want the action of being able to give somebody a platform to express themselves. And because I genuinely think that that's so important. It is so important to assist people, isn't it? You all believe that, because that's why you are here with me. You have the same mentality about that. You have that strong drive, that you have empathy, all of yous. You have compassion, and you like assisting people. You like helping your brethren and your sisterin? Is that the is brethren just general? But like
Brothers, sisters, others.
all that stuff, right? So and that's how I chose the team as well. And you're right, it's a slow process. It's a slow burner. It's like, Paul, I know you for years, but we didn't really connect until, like, you know, it takes time to really develop, for me, even to develop connections with people. It takes me a long time to really bring people. And sometimes it's shorter, like, for example, with Rebecca, Anna, Claire, Lindsay, and Stephen, like, that was actually a lot quicker. So this year, I actually... huh?
That's most of the team.
Funny enough, actually, it is most of the team.
I'm the problem.
That's about... But... I think it was the pandemic that did that, you know, where it actually allowed me, like, I don't know what it is, but it just sort of let me connect. I don't know what it is. I don't know actually why.
I know. I actually know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. It's like yeah. It's a lot. It's very difficult, I think, especially now, to like let new people into your bubble and your energy. And I don't mean bubble from COVID. I mean bubble as in the way it was used before then. Okay, but it's very difficult. Whereas like when this all happened, I think that it forced people, well, it forced me, and I don't know if this is what you're trying to say, but to let down levels of your walls to try and connect with people, because you couldn't just rely on seeing them at gigs or seeing them in different points. Yeah. You had to create an actual connection.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so for me, it pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me make new friends. It wasn't just about, you know, being on the scene. Do you know, it was actually about making friends. Making long-lasting connections that, regardless of the pandemic, would last you into the point of selling out Crow Park when I'm calling all these, being like, I'm doing this thing, want to be involved?
100%. And you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, definitely. And with regard to the comfort zone situation as well, is definitely that. Did any of you guys feel that you were taken like majorly out of your comfort zone at all at any stage? Like, obviously without the, you know, the obvious of not being comfortable being stuck in your own gaff, but like, have you had that experience in the past few months?
I just found it really fascinating how we can get so close without even ever physically seeing each other. Like, all of you guys, I'd be like, oh my god, you're my best friends, like I would like follow you to the end of the world. But I've never met you in real life.
Probably because we haven't met.
Oh yeah, if you met me, you would be completely turning the other way around. Like that's.
Now I'm thinking about it, like I'm a terrible human.
Stop now.
That might be the scary reality. That might be the. Dave says nothing's impossible. You just need action. Also, we're our own worst enemy.
I agree completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love Dave. Dave, you're really. I love Dave today.
Insightful from Dave.
Dave, you're friendly troll.
Dave is hugely insightful. Actually, he is hugely insightful. No joke. Yeah, that's.
I didn't think that was a joke. I agreed with that.
I'll actually put this in, and like, this is kind of for Claire, for yourself, Kozak, for Paul, and for Lindsay, I suppose, as a musician as well. I always thought, and when we went to do the Transmission Festival, it was a weird crossover for me, because I always get this weird half jealousy when I'm seeing another group play, you know, at an amazing festival, and, you know, I'm not doing it. So, you know, my contribution, as well as probably Rebecca's contribution to the Transmission Festival, is, you know, we were giving our Michael Buffer calls, and Rebecca was doing some amazing interviews and making like interesting friends. And that was a really, really big eye opener, because it was like, I never saw myself as like Paul Archibald is there, the mean gene of the WWE, you know, the guy holding the microphone while Hulk Hogan does his, well, let me tell you something, brother. You know, I never saw myself as that guy. But like, you know, when it became time to do it, I really enjoyed it. So like that was, you know, it might sound a bit silly, maybe, you know, kind of going behind the microphone, if you know what I mean, and not seeing it as a negative, not seeing it as you're being put out to pasture as a musician, saying, wow, I actually can do this, you know, pretty well. And if I hadn't got into this situation, I would never have found that out, because I'm an asshole. I think that's what Dave Duggan was trying to tell me all the time.
I get it.
I think you did great though as a duo MC for a transmission. It was fantastic.
First time ever meeting, by the way.
We met that morning at 9 a.m. The day before was
Nailed
the first
it.
time I ever met Kozak face to face. That day was the first time I ever met Claire face to face. Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
I started my journey on the 20th of March. I did 4 weeks of interviews before I met Claire. The very day Claire told me to contact Kozak, I got onto him that very night. The very next day I interviewed him, and here we are. I never believed I was capable of being in front of anything. I have actually quite low self-confidence. The fact that I am good with words and able to talk to people is about one of the things I have to really, really fake. So it's just very strange. All of this whole entire period of my life has been completely bizarre. Everything I've done has been out of my comfort zone. Everything. For the last
You're a
10
winner,
months.
Kate.
You should be so proud, like so proud of yourself. Like you've
Yeah,
achieved
don't
so
ever
much.
go back.
Amazing.
Yeah, and how much? Yeah,
Amazing.
how
And
much
you know
you've
what?
achieved is
I'll
crazy.
actually put to this. Like, meeting Rebecca was one of the highlights of this whole entire lockdown. So many days, just a random message from Rebecca, a random video of herself, and the little man will just, brighten up my morning. And that's one small, but really, really important way that you have contributed, Rebecca. So well done, you. You're absolutely amazing.
And isn't it amazing? Like you do in Cypress Avenue, like such a massive gig. Like that came out of absolutely. I don't know, where did that come out of? And that's only like a few months after you start doing your own show as well. It's unbelievable. Like that is absolutely crazy, Rebecca. So fair play to you, and I'm so delighted and grateful that Claire put us together. And it's mad. It is like the butterfly effect, isn't it? It's like it's just shit keeps happening.
But that's the thing,
What's
though.
next?
That's what growth is. Like, it seems like nothing in the beginning, and it seems like it's all for. Especially now, it's harder to believe that it's not pointless
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because we've very little reason to believe that there's what, like 8 of us. Sorry, that took me way too long to count. Like, but 8 of us.
You're okay. You
all,
froze
like-
there, so we missed the counting.
Oh, that's what I was like counting. Like, wait, what? But, the fact that there's like 8 of us here that grew from such a tiny team, that like the fact that every time you put videos up or go live, like your audience has essentially doubled. Like it might feel small and it might feel insignificant, but that's how it's supposed to feel at the start. It's when you keep going and you see the growth that it makes it all worth it. And like Colin and like Paul was saying, when you get people who turn around and say, oh my God, that review meant everything to me, do you know, like, or oh my God, it means so much that like I wouldn't have found this band if it wasn't for you, or I wouldn't have thought this way if I hadn't have read this. Like, it seems small now because it's the beginning. And 100 articles in and we're able to have this conversation, I think is phenomenal. I can't wait for the next 100.
Yeah, definitely. Max, you
On that, I actually have to take more painkillers, so I really need to say
chicken.
goodbye, guys.
Oh,
I'm so
No worries.
sorry.
You're fine. And do you know what? We are taking. This is so much later than we thought, and I totally lost track of time. So I'm so sorry.
Fun.
Yeah, if anybody needs to go, that's absolutely fine. And I will close up the live stream anyway. I wanted to ask maybe a couple of questions quickly in the chat. There's a couple of people commenting right now. So Claire, no worries. Listen, thanks so much for popping in, and
Thank you.
we'll see you
I'll
soon.
be in the comments.
Be in the comments. Enjoy your
Viva Lady Lipton.
enjoy your painkillers.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye, Claire.
And then there were 7.
And now the real
Magnificent
conversation happens.
What do you
Okay.
really think about Claire?
So Claire's going to be trolling us now in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
So New Drums say Stephen Brennan is a good man. He's sweet, humble, has a heart of gold, yet pretends he's no big deal. Is the beer? Is that the beer talking? Nah, I'm 4 deep and ain't got nothing but truth coursing through my veins. What a lovely comment.
Oh,
Who commented that? I want to
New
know who
drums.
commented that. Ah. Awesome.
That's
Nick
my.
and Stephen,
That's your
you're the
drummer, is
person
it?
I talked to less, so it was really nice to talk to you this evening, by the way.
Thanks very much. Yeah, no, it's great to have a couple of different YouTube accounts. New Drums is one of my alternative accounts. So no, it's not. No, thanks. Stephen, you are the best. More articles about obscure music stuff. No, thanks, Nolan. Appreciate it. We have a new project coming out soon, so yeah, looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Can you talk more about it, or is it all hush hush for the moment?
We're going to try and do sea shanties, but we're not sure how that's going to go yet.
Interesting. I like that. I like that idea.
Cool.
Is it?
It's going to be fun.
Are you planning to do it as well as a? Is it going to be sort of like specifically aiming at an audience? Because you can sell those songs, right? Specifically for like for film and stuff like that.
At all. No, like I think the thing, like I think like what Nolan and me do a lot of the time is just like it'll be a random call or a message being like, oh, I heard the song, we should cover that, or oh, I've got this notion that we should do a sea shanty, or like, you know,
that's amazing though.
It's really fun. You never know what it's gonna be, because I think I got the message about the sea shanty like yesterday, and it was like, oh, I listened to this, we should do this, and it was like, oh yeah, class, let's do that.
I love it. Do you know where that would go well? And hopefully when things, I don't know if it's closed, if it's finished, if not closed down, because every bar is technically closed down. What was that one that they have a ship as a stage?
Was it the Salty Dog Sessions, was it? Or
yeah, but that's what venue is that? There's a venue there on the south side in Dublin, and it has a ship, proper ship, like with cannons and stuff like that, and it's a stage. And you should try be the house band in that venue once things open up.
But, no, the dream will never happen because Nolan has moved to Norway. So
Nolan, is he?
If you're listening, come back to Ireland, please.
Get your ass
Norway
back
is the
here.
perfect place to do sea shanties.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll just go
there twice. It's all they do.
It's all they do.
But it's really
That's all
mad.
they do over there. They're landlocked. They
Last
like to dream
2
of the
days,
sea.
I've seen 3 videos posted on Facebook about sea shanties,
Yeah.
and we're connected to this. Like, so there's this guy over in Scotland that's gotten wicked famous from doing it. There's this guy over in Canada wicked famous from doing it. And then I was actually hunted down by a French band that do sea shanties.
No way.
you go.
You gotta post those. Post those guys in the comments. Oh, I'd love to hear those.
Didn't sea shanties
So
get
I
really
will-
big or something recently? Wasn't that like a
It's a
thing?
TikTok thing.
Was that a thing for like a
It was
month?
a viral thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Jamie Bolger, congrats on the 100.
Jesus.
Really enjoyed the chat. Max's mate.
That is Jamie Bulger is a gas man, because he's one of the famous Maximilian Foy rent-a-crowd that that
I love that phrase.
descends on Sinead anytime I'm ever there. It's like, it's a running joke with the bar people, because bar people are like, how many flipping friends do you have? And I'm like, this is it. You see this 35 people here? This is the whole entire sphere of friendship that I have, and thank God they all turn up and give generously for those little voting tickets.
They really do. But even they know the words to all your music, and they're up the front. And, you know, because you had like pretty big crowds, like as an average, you know, from 4 years, you know, that's quite an amazing crowd to have. And every time you did a show there, you had the same guys showing up, which was always fantastic as well.
You see,
they're lovely
trick
people as
was
well. They're actually really nice.
The trick is that I organised the work night out on the night that I was doing the Crystal Skull. But also,
Someone's thinking.
Jamie Bulger is amazing. Used to be a part of a performance art duo called Skinny Twins with myself for many years. So shout out to James. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome. So, shall we finish up? Because it's already 5 to 10. It's a little bit longer than that. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else you wanted to like close off with, or anything you wanted to touch on?
I think you're all amazing.
Keep going.
Good joke.
Keep going. Is that it?
That was it.
I don't really know Stephen or Paul yet, but I'm really enjoying their articles. I think Paul has a really good way of writing reviews. I find that very interesting. Stephen, your whole article on Reverb changed my life on account of how grunge woke me up to the power of music. And I had no idea what had actually created those sounds until I then discovered the simplified version of how does reverb work? And my brain went, this is so interesting. Like that day a DI box was explained to me in Cypress Avenue, you know, because I was cleaning all these DI boxes down, and I get really curious, you know. I know how to fold cables and skip a stage now after 12 days of working, you know. But I was like, what's a DI box and how does it work? So then that was explained to me. So the reverb article, same thing. Anna, I'm super proud of you, because I never thought you'd actually eventually write for any magazine. I was just looking at this journalist best friend of mine that was my ghostwriter for about 2 years, helping me write stuff because my dyslexic ass couldn't actually compartmentalize. Like, how do I get this to sound there? Because it doesn't work.
I love how it's all coming out. Keep going.
Live on air.
I adore how clever you are and how you don't feel like you're speaking down to us, because you are. Like, I don't actually know how you're able to put up with us, because I know your brain is just going so much better than mine, and I always like that you're kind and humble in how you explain everything. Max,
Thank you.
your flavour and way of understanding sound, and the way that you're able to embellish words and make them all so flamboyantly yours, but also exactly what the person needs, is very important. And Kozak, I couldn't lead a crowd of 7 without punching everyone, so I'm ever proud that you let me be whatever the hell I am.
Listen, it's a pleasure, Rebecca. It wouldn't be the same without you, and that goes for all of you. It would not be, the deMars would not be the same without you guys.
Thanks very much.
And
it's a pleasure.
I'm thinking transmission too. If it happens, definitely needs to be the first time we all meet in real life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't usually cross over things, as you know. This is deMars Magazine chats, but there will be definitely a transmission too. Just to let you know.
Absolutely.
Max, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Your glass has like been filling and going down and going up and going down, and I haven't seen you actually fill it once during this call. So what's going on there?
Self-filling glass.
Kozak knows this. I have my little helper always in the corner to help fill my glasses.
Poor Craig.
My boyfriend Craig is always on hand. It happens in Shin A. It even happened at the Transmission Festival. It just appeared out of nowhere, just at the end.
Oh, bless him.
But
The fuel to the charm.
my live-in roadie, because I know it's a pandemic, but you always have to have help.
Brilliant.
I think New Drums asked a question that was skipped over, and I'd love to get everyone's answer on it. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely. I cannot believe that question was asked by anybody. Like, it's not pizza, it then becomes some kind of fruit salad bread, right? And this just shouldn't even be talked about in like a forum like this. And like, I know this is like some kind of like music magazine, but I feel so offended as a half Italian person who's just had that question asked to them.
And a food blogger.
I think it's a culture. I think it's a cultural thing, and I think the very notion of it is a slight on us country folk, because I live in a tiny village called Newtown Cashel, where there is a pub, a shop, and a church. So the shop, when you go into the shop, there is a little freezer, and it's about this big and about this deep, and it has fish fingers. It has, like, you know, cod fillets. It has some sort of bag of fish that's see-through, and it's just that's for the hardcore people. And then it had, you know, those Dr. Unker Rister.
Oh, they're great. I love them. Yeah.
It had ham and pineapple pizza, and we were flipping rared on ham and pineapple pizza. So I'm like, the whole question is just madness to me, because I'm like, well, what do you have on your pizza? Is that not pizza?
Nothing else exists.
Oh my God. Well,
So that's a hard yes and a hard no.
Hard yes and hard no.
I'm a yes.
Like the crust soggy, whatever.
No, because you bake the pizza with the pineapple on it.
yeah,
so all
it doesn't
of the
affect the crust
pineapple
too
juices
much.
evaporate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had soggy before. It was pretty awful.
That's just like, that's a different problem. Like,
Yeah.
that's not. Don't blame
That's
the
just
pineapple.
bad pizza
God.
making.
I'm just imagining like the guy making the pizza just like pouring the can of pineapple juice on afterwards.
The luster, like, every so often he gets
Rebecca's
pissed at work.
There's Rebecca
Fruit cocktail
throwing
on the
up.
fucking thing.
I guess we're all getting hungry now at this stage, I suppose, right? Is that a sign? Darius says we should do takeaway reviews for deMars Magazine next.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And that was...
Chip crawl.
Huh?
The chip crawl.
Yeah, that was actually voted for in the deMartian group page. We were meant to... And that was Dave Duggan, I think, that asked for that one. The best chips in Dublin, right? Or Ireland, even, once the country opens up.
Local Waterford.
That is.
We could do the
They
best...
invented a new chip in local Waterford that actually travels and stays crispy. They've managed to manufacture a chip that they put a coating on that when it arrives does not
That
go
doesn't
soggy.
sound healthy. That's
Waterford was also one of the sponsors for Transmission Music Festival. I'd like to point out.
Oh, well then it's very healthy.
And it is healthy because they're using natural potato.
They're great.
I think. Yeah.
Thanks to
And
my
very little.
sponsors.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's like pineapple on pizza is bad, but putting an artificial coating on chips,
Oh no, it's not
problem.
an artificial coating.
Well, no, they're my sponsor, Stephen, so I have to say it's okay.
So it's a stamped coating that makes it extra crispy. So when you second fry it, it travels well and stays crispy, so you don't have a soggy chip effect. They've spent months perfecting a natural way to make chips crispy.
I'll have to look into that.
No,
I'll have to look into that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely in the mood for some
like the
chips.
soggy chips at the bottom of the bag, though? You know the ones that are they're like 76% vinegar. And like,
Oh, they're amazing. No, they are. I like
they're
them.
so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, it's
I feel like they give you the strength to walk home as well, because you're just at the bottom of the bag and you're going to your Lewis stop and you're just like, you just take this and you're like, whoa, time to walk home.
And you're so banjacks you can't even chew anymore, so you just slurp them down. Like.
God, I'm hungry, guys.
Jesus.
Okay, so yeah, this conversation's definitely taken a turn. So I guess we'll finish up, guys. Here, I just want to say, like, thanks so much once again, like, to all you guys, all you writers, the team, my friends, for sticking with me, and through thick and thin, and through the beginning, which is always the most kind of unpredictable. So really do appreciate is contributing so much of your heart and soul into the articles, and I wish us all, you know, a really prosperous future in our own endeavors and together as a magazine. You know, we have all of our own projects as well that we are instigating, so I'm really proud of all of us for getting this far, and we all have something different and unique and individual to contribute. We're all so very different. We all have a variety of skills, and we all excel in our own skills that we personally enjoy, because generally we enjoy what we're good at, and it really does make a fantastic, unstoppable team. So I'm really looking forward to working more together. We are linking deMars magazine slowly but surely now with deMars Live as well, and you know, we want to bring it into like this multimedia sort of I don't know, platformy thing, but just to take advantage, I suppose, of all this amazing content that each of us are able to produce. So that's some news for the guys in the comments. I know you guys already sort of knew about this a little bit, and some chapters still need to close first before we move on to the next chapter with some of us. Lindsay doing her PhD as well, of course. You know, we're all wishing you the very best, Lindsay, as well with that, because I know it's a massive endeavor. So we're all thinking about you as well, and hoping you do. We know you'll do fantastic. So with that, guys, I wanted to thank you all in the comments section for tuning in as well, and for communicating with us. Thanks so much for contributing to the stream, and anybody that's watching it back, thanks so much for watching that back. So I guess that's my closer, guys. Is there anything else you want? I'm afraid now. I probably shouldn't, because we're going to be talking about kebabs next, and I'm on the verge of ordering food right now. Like, my phone is in my hand here. Dominoes. But thank you so much, guys. Amy Ellen, our review is out today as well. I have really looking forward to Amy Ellen's live. Just want to give her a shout out, actually, because she's amazing, and she came onto the show last week, and she is live streaming tomorrow, her very first live stream, which is extremely commendable, and she's an absolute sweetheart. Her and Axel, I've known them for a couple of years as well. Absolute pleasure. Worked with them as well, so just want to give them a shout out. And the article is written by Maximilian Foy, that's just been out. We had some great articles this week as well, I have to say. Max, you want to say something?
You know what? I actually do just have one more thing I want to throw in. You know, we get an awful lot of messages saying thank you so much for writing reviews, and you know, people really, really like the reviews. But also, I'd like to say that I don't know about Paul, but for me, I've only started to do this. So the feedback that I get back from people telling me how much they appreciate the articles that I write is really, really, you know, important in giving me a bit of confidence to write this, and you know, in pushing me on. So as like grateful as you have said that you have enjoyed, you know, my articles, I would like to say that I'm really, really grateful for all the kind words, because like sometimes it's difficult. You think, am I just rambling on here? Is this a bit too much? You know, what's the way? And like, you know, it's hard to, you know, to get the balance right. And I really, really appreciate that, you know, people have enjoyed it. So thank you very much to everybody.
Awesome. Yes, it's so great to get that feedback. So yeah, guys, keep giving us all feedback as well. Let us know how we're doing. We really need to know. Like I think that's something that we need more of, is to get that feedback off you guys. So please do keep giving us feedback. There's, you know, I was going to say there's no such thing as bad feedback, but like, you know, just give us anything. We need to see what you guys want more of, and we want to really improve as well. But I personally, from my standpoint, I have to say it's very, very high quality what's coming out from deMars, and I can definitely confidently say that and represent that with gusto. So that's my 2 cents in on that. So and if there was anything subpar, you'll obviously hear that from me. All right, guys, listen, I love yous and leave yous. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see yous all. See yous tomorrow. Warped Minds tomorrow night.
Yes.
There we go. Paul Downey. Yes. And Orion is going to join us. We got some great artists. We're going to take a break from your local 32. I'm never going to finish this stream. So listen, guys.
This is rolling straight into tomorrow's show. Let's go.
It's actually up as Orion and Warped Mind. That's the reason. Okay.
Guinness Book of Records, longest.
It's 250 hours. I checked it.
We can do that.
We can beat that.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
The longest stream. I think we're beating it tonight. When did we start?
I think it's about 3 years ago.
I think we beat it with your introduction.
About 100 articles ago. That's when we started.
I'm gonna have to cut this up. Seriously, I'm gonna chop up all the bad stuff that you're saying about me, and I'm just gonna put in all the good stuff. See you later, guys. Have a lovely weekend, and